Yeah, when basically it was the federal government's pretty much arbitrated the corruption that has been bankrupting this country with their let's pretend money game. You can watch Money is Debt. There's also a sequel to that if you want to learn more about how that's all rigged. But our reliance on them is certainly really we're suffering from it now, and that's why a lot of states wouldn't take federal money in the earlier stages of this country, and they had it right because now they kind of got us in a bad position.
And plus, once you get stuck taking money from the federal government and become reliant on it, it's just like becoming reliant on anything else. If that gets taken away, or the threat of it being taken away can be used against you in ways that we don't want to see happen.
Also from Time Standard is Arcata Police Department seeks to clarify parameters of panhandling ordinance as new law goes into effect. Police Chief Tom Chapman says, "We're not prepared yet to deal with enforcement." It makes it interesting to see, that they don't even know this law passed, that they admit it's going to cost them a bunch of money to litigate to even figure out. And it's uncertain whether we could table and, maybe ask for, do a fundraiser for our show, or the Girl Scouts, or,
the Breast Cancer Society, or any other groups.
Exactly. And so perhaps a bunch of organizations should just go out there and start tabling more often anyways, because we should exercise our free speech.
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to believe that they could get away with stopping some type of a thing like that. But it also is a valid argument that what's the difference of somebody, they say in the article, even what's the difference of someone asking you for change or asking you for donations for this or that?
Well, it would be that, if somebody's harassing you and getting in your face and making physical contact with you and that kind of a thing, and I mean, there's normal common law that should be able to deal with those kind of situations.
Yeah,
someone sitting at a table asking, or not even maybe like asking anybody anything and letting people come up to them, I mean, that's totally not an offensive thing.
Next article is from the North Coast Journal. Out in the rain, a Petalene courthouse worker just wants his secure bike parking back. And we thought this was an interesting article because it just shows how far things have gone because of all of the threats of terrorism and a lot of it being fake, basically created, and other stuff which we've gone over.
Yeah, making a security state.
False flag operations and other things. And basically, even down to our courthouse here locally in Eureka, the workers always were able to ride their bikes, and they could park their bikes underneath and lock them up down there, not have to worry about getting them stolen or have them out on the streets or anything like that, because it's not even the best part of town, even though the jailhouse is right there. Just kind of ironic, interesting thing.
Oh yeah.
But basically, 15 months ago, they banned employees from parking their bikes in the rack in the courthouse, and the basement ban came in December 2008 after the county, under state mandate, installed the new courthouse security system that by now we're all familiar with: the X-ray baggage scanners, the walk-through metal detectors in the front of the lobbies. Now the rack is off limits to everyone. And basically, this guy is really upset, this Rodney Brunlinger, because he's not able to ride his bike anymore. And he's seen even that less people ride their bike to work now because they've made it more difficult for him.
Next up, we have St. Vincent de Paul, Betty Chin, set to open public shower facility in Eureka. This is about groundbreaking of public shower, first one in Eureka, and they say it will provide dignity one shower at a time and make a significant difference to the feelings of self-worth of individuals. It took about 400 local donors, mostly local donors, and it'll help minimize perhaps some people's aversion to others that are less fortunate.
Next article is from the Humboldt Herald, Life Inside Humboldt County Jail. And this is actually originally from a radio interview that was done on KHUM with a guy who is in the Humboldt County Jail right now. He's a friend of one of the radio DJs, basically on KHUM. And he did like a little talk and just discussing the way life is there. And he says it's easy for people to get institutionalized in jail. For some guys, it's like being a 17-year-old kid living at their parents' house without a job. Inmates get food and mail and sleep all day. He also says that the inmates set more rules than jail guards, and the rules are based on race and hygiene. And it's pretty interesting. You can go check out the full interview if you want. It's up on KHUM's website.
Next we have Times Standard story. Humboldt County Public Health urging vaccinations against possible H1N1 resurgence. We've already pretty much shown unequivocally that the whole swine flu hoax has been exposed quite clearly, and that there's been a bunch of basically fascist interests to scare us into getting a bunch of toxic vaccines, and a bunch of people are going to make money on that, and then possibly becoming the population. It's a pretty heinous thing, and so I actually initiated contact with Ann Lindsay, who's one of the doctors or public health officials locally, who was quoted in the article, and so I'm going to ask her what she thinks of a interview from a radio program I heard that I felt summed it up, that was on K-Hum or K-Mud some time ago. And we'll post that on the site so you can check it out.
Next article is from the Times Standard, Arcata Night Shelter construction underway. And this is discussing the Arcata Night Shelter, which is basically now being expanded. It's having extra beds built into it. One of the rooms is being turned into another room. And there should be almost double the amount of beds now when it gets completed in May. And they basically go on a lottery system there. To get a bed, you all put your names in, and you essentially get drawn. It's luck of the draw in that sense. Basically too many people and too little beds, so that's the best system that they could come up with.
Next, about the annual 420 gathering in Arcata at Redwood Park. It's from the Times Standard, and it goes into pretty much the response from law enforcement. And Tom Chapman, the chief, says, "There's an influx of people and the town gets overrun." I once actually had the pleasure of viewing his lecture and Q&A session at the Emerald Triangle class at HSU, taught by Tony Salvaggio last semester. And he was talking about people need to have more fear to stop smoking marijuana and stop growing and whatnot. So apparently they want to make us scared, so they set up a bunch of intimidating, fortifications. I heard they felled possibly trees and stuff, or tree matter to block paths and whatnot, make it difficult for people to get out. And so I mean, it was pretty rainy, and so a bunch of people apparently showed up, and Arcata PD and all the other law enforcement they worked with gave out 126 parking tickets, 24 moving violations, 25 tickets for violating no smoking ordinance, 17 citations for illegal camping, 8 citations for dog license violations, and 6 for illegal possession of less than an ounce of marijuana. So they pretty much made a killing, and 5 arrests in total. So
well, the interesting thing about that is that the majority of those tickets, it sounds like, were not even really concerned with marijuana or other things that might have been going on, but with getting parking tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah, for the roads our tax dollars paid for in the first place as well. So yeah, they come out and they make some money. Too bad that we couldn't legitimize the event, perhaps sometime, and allow it to be like, a Stony Oyster Fest or something, who knows.
Our next article from the Humboldt Herald, PG&E faces smart meter rebellion. And basically, they've been putting in smart meters slowly but surely all up the coast of California. They started in Southern California and been slowly moving their way up. A lot of people view it as an invasion of their privacy. A lot of people have been getting angry with PG&E about it. There was just a public meeting that was held down in Sonoma and Mendocino counties discussing this issue with PG&E. And another thing that wasn't talked about in the article but should be brought up is the wireless waves, which are sent out from the smart meters that go through your house and everybody else's house around you, because it's all of your neighbors that have them. And these waves have been continually showing in all kinds of studies that they are, stopping people's concentration, making them not able to work as well. And they've been doing these studies at places like hospitals and airports, where they'll have large wireless networks of internet, large internet networks. And people that are being exposed to this day in and day out are having more and more trouble. And so a lot of people have been getting upset about this, and essentially Eureka is going to be getting them here in about a year, it looks like from the article. And we'll see what goes on as times get closer. But you can start looking for the smart meters to be showing up.
Unless we can do something about it. What's interesting too is that industry is the mass user of most of our resources. So I mean, when they tell us to control what's going on in our home, like in Arizona, they want to remotely control thermostats and whatnot. These kind of things are really quite insane because these big corporate entities and whatnot are producing a whole bunch of useless crap that's going to have to be replaced because it's a poor product and all these kind of things we don't even need. And then they're going to tell us that they got control of the energy that we use with this whole like thing that's been basically imposed upon us. But next up we have from the North Coast Journal, College in Revolt. This is about College of the Redwoods President Superintendent Jeff Marcy makes $222,000 plus per year and a benefits package worth another $11,000 plus. And he has 16 paid holidays, 20 vacation days, and 10 days of professional leave. He's now touring Russia at the time of the story on a Fulbright scholarship to exchange ideas with Russian community college administrators. The results of a satisfaction survey showed pretty much unanimous contempt among employees directed squarely at the president and superintendent. And CR's institutional researcher, Martha Davis, posted the survey results on their webpage. 2 days later, they disappeared. And she was a little tripped out over it because there was another person at the university, Chief Financial Officer Brett Bettenhausen, who was supposedly, quote, frog marched off school grounds for unsuccessfully revealing a $1 million budget shortfall at a board of trustees meeting. It reportedly says in an update, it looks like in the story, that the Journal called Davis's office, who tried to post the results, and said that she's not employed there anymore. So that sounds like pretty wild kind of thing going on there at CR.
Well, that wraps up our North Coast news. We try to include a little bit more information and more stories than our last episode, and we'll try to continue to keep up on all these issues.
Now for our California state news. Starting off with California Watch, doing a heck of a job. Urge y'all to check out the website, californiawatch.org. This one's most distinguished schools centered near Bay Area and Southern California. You can use the infographic that they posted. With your mouse, you can hover over a county to see its name and then click on it to get statistics and whatnot. But basically, I think that this overall shows that up here, also when it comes to funding and program-wise, that we get a pretty bad education from the state. And so I think that this kind of proves that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself, funding and program-wise. So check it out yourself. Make your own judgment.
The following article is from San Diego Channel 6. A medical marijuana patient found not guilty. A medical marijuana patient was acquitted Thursday of charges that he possessed and sold the drug to undercover officers. The jury, he says, they saw that the law does allow for collective cultivation. They saw that the law allows for reimbursement. The detective who bought the drugs from the defendant said he received a doctor's prescription for marijuana by using a false name. Now, it's a pretty interesting story because, as you saw, the jury came out and affirmed the man's rights under California law, which has already been affirmed in numerous cases over and over again. And really, the only person who broke the law here is the officer for using a false name, which is actually a federal crime to use a false name, especially in medical documents. Totally illegal, totally illegitimate.
Yeah, you do that to them and they'll go get pretty upset. Next from San Francisco Gate, Humboldt radio station's pottery reports giving recognition to K-Mud and giving real-time updates about raids. California Watch actually had a studied the issue as well, and it shows that these raids inform the locals, and as a result, it can potentially prevent abuse by law enforcement, which they've been known to do. They just like to bash and destroy things and chop things down. I mean, it's totally outrageous that they just destroy people's property and their hard work like that.
And also can prevent situations that could otherwise turn bad or violent, where people aren't expecting someone to show up on their property or their land, and otherwise could have a bad situation, a normal situation, which could turn bad, because people aren't informed of what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, generally this entire drug war is based on injustice and special interests in the first place, so I mean, this kind of an approach definitely isn't going to make anything any better. It's only going to risk some kind of catastrophe, where they could point and say, look how bad this is, when they're the ones starting all this crap.
Definitely props to California Watch. Our next article is from them as well. Food waste remains a persistent problem at farms, grocery stores, and restaurants. State studies have found that more than 6 million tons of food products are dumped annually.